Title: Abandoned in the wilderness. After a brief hike with my 10-year-old son, we returned to find our campsite deserted. My wife, her companions, our tents, supplies, vehicles, everything had vanished. No cell signal. Just a lone note on a folding table. Asterisk, this is for your own good. Believe me. Asterisk, 10 days later, they would come to rue their decision. Chapter 1. Betrayal. In the forest, the woods were eerily silent. My son and I had wandered down a trail for a short stroll, no more than 15 minutes. When we returned, the campsite was empty. No tents, no food, no cars, no voices of the group we'd come with. All that remained was a rickety table. On it, a single piece of paper sat beneath a stone. My son's hands shook as he lifted it and read aloud in a faltering voice. Asterisk, this is for your own good. Believe me. Asterisk, it was my wife's handwriting. My heart sank as the truth hit me. They hadn't gotten lost or gone for help. They had abandoned us. No phone signal, no gear. Just a father and his young son, left to fend for themselves in the wild. My son's frightened eyes met mine. Dad, are we going to die? I forced a steady tone, resting a hand on his shoulder. No, son. We're going to make it. And when we do, they'll wish they hadn't done this. Chapter 2. 10 days of survival. The first night was brutal. My son huddled close under the starry sky, trembling from cold and fear. No tent, no fire, no food, just my coat, a nearly empty water bottle, and a fierce resolve to keep him safe. Days 1 to 3. Finding our way, we crafted a shelter from branches and foliage. I taught him to collect rainwater using my shirt and a carved-out log. When hunger struck, I showed him how to spot edible berries and rig snares with bits of shoelace. At night, as coyotes howled far off, I held him close and shared tales of my childhood, when my father taught me to survive. It calmed us both. Days 4 to 6. The edge of despair. By day 4, fatigue weighed heavily. My son's lips were chapped, his steps unsteady. He asked again if we'd die. I looked into his eyes, so like my own, and managed a smile. We're not dying. We're going to prove them wrong. It wasn't just about staying alive anymore. It was about showing those who left us that they couldn't destroy us. On day 6, we found a stream. We drank greedily, and I silently gave thanks. Days 7 to 10, resilience. Reborn strength slowly returned. I made rough walking sticks, and we followed the stream downward. On the 10th day, we stumbled onto a dirt road. A ranger's truck appeared, the driver's eyes widening at our haggard appearance. My God, people have been looking for you for days. Your wife said you got lost and never returned. I shared a glance with my son. His jaw tightened, a spark of anger in his eyes. She lied, he whispered. I nodded. Survival was behind us. Now, it was time for justice. Chapter 3. The return. Stepping out of the ranger's truck into town, we were met with gasps and flashing cameras. To the world, we were a miracle, a father and son who beat the odds. To me, it was the start of a fight. Their false narrative. At the police station, officers recounted my wife's story. Asterisk, they wandered off and didn't come back. We searched but couldn't find them. Asterisk, they portrayed themselves as concerned bystanders, some even shedding crocodile tears while helping the search. But their tale unraveled. Records showed no search efforts after the first day. No flyers, no hospital checks, nothing. The police chief leaned forward. We're skeptical. People don't just abandon a campsite like that. I stayed silent, my hand on my son's shoulder. Anger could wait. Revenge needed strategy. The loyalty of my children. That night, my daughter ran to me, tears streaming. Dad, I knew she was lying. She said you left us, but I didn't believe it. My son, battered from our ordeal, whispered, she left us to die. I'll never forgive her. I realized then that my fight wasn't just for me. It was for them. They deserved justice. The first step. The next day, I called my lawyer. We gathered evidence. The note, the ranger's account, the lack of search efforts, medical reports of my son's condition, and bank records showing my wife's lavish spending while we were missing. We didn't confront them. We built a case that would bury them, to be revealed in due time. Chapter 4. The reckoning unfolds. The truth came out swiftly. With the note, the ranger's testimony, and the absent search efforts, the police acted. What my wife and her friends thought was a clever plan now looked like a crime. Attempted murder by abandonment. The investigation detectives interrogated them separately. My wife clung to her lie. Asterisk, they got lost. We looked for them. But evidence told a different story. Bank statements revealed spa trips and restaurant bills during the search. Social media posts of them laughing over drinks while we fought for survival sealed their fate. The note, in her handwriting, became damning evidence. The chief confided, "This wasn't a mistake. She planned it." Public backlash, the story exploded. Headlines roared. Father and son left to die in wilderness survived 10 days. Wife and friends face charges after shocking note revealed. Public outrage erupted. Social media vilified them. Reporters hounded my wife's friends. Their employers issued public disavowals, and their lives unraveled. The legal strike, my lawyer filed for full custody of my children, citing endangerment. The judge granted it without hesitation. I also pursued civil suits for medical costs, emotional trauma, and reputational damage. Their accounts were frozen by court order. The days of luxury were over. Now they scrambled to pay legal fees. The emotional weight in court, my son stood, his voice steady despite his trembling frame. "She left us to die? I never want to live with her again." The room fell silent. My wife sobbed, but no one offered comfort. Her friends avoided her gaze, realizing their betrayal had ruined them all. Chapter 5. Justice delivered. The courtroom was where it all came full circle. The verdict, my wife and her friends, once confident in their scheme, stood in handcuffs. The prosecutor was relentless. This was no accident. It was deliberate abandonment. The note, bank records, Ranger's testimony, and my son's words formed an ironclad case. The judge's gavel fell, guilty. They received prison sentences for reckless endangerment and attempted manslaughter. No leniency. Social fallout outside the courthouse. Reporters swarmed. My wife, once thriving in the spotlight, now shrank from it. Her friends faced public scorn, losing jobs, families, and reputations. They became pariahs, untouchable. A quiet victory after the sentencing. My son tugged my sleeve, his voice soft but firm. "Dad, we made it. Together." I hugged him tightly, tears of pride in my eyes. He had faced the wilderness and emerged stronger. The triumph. Months later, I spoke at a survival fundraiser, framing our story not as tragedy, but as resilience. The crowd cheered, inspired. Those who tried to destroy us had given us a gift, a legacy of strength and truth. They thought they'd left us to die, but they only buried themselves. My son and I walked out of the woods, united and unbreakable. Epilogue. Years on her downfall, my wife never adjusted to prison. Once the center of social circles, she became just another inmate. Her friends turned on each other, desperate for lighter sentences. Their betrayal consumed them, just as they'd tried to destroy us. When I saw her name in a news article years later, inmate denied parole for lack of remorse. I felt no anger, only pity. Our new life, my son grew into a strong, resilient man. Those 10 days forged an unbreakable bond between us. He became a leader, sharing our story at schools, survival programs, and conferences. We weren't victims, we were survivors. Poetic justice. One evening, after a keynote speech, my son whispered with a grin, "Dad, remember the note? This is for your own good." Believe me. She was right, in a way. I smiled. He was right. They'd left us to die, but their betrayal set us free. The audience applauded, and I realized the truth. They had killed their own futures, while my son and I emerged from the wilderness, not just alive, but unstoppable. Was this justice fair? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you believe this story of resilience and retribution resonates, share it with someone who needs its strength. Subscribe to Stories of Triumph for more gripping tales of betrayal and justice. Every deception meets its reckoning, and every betrayal casts a long shadow. Stay vigilant, stay strong, and stay tuned.